Oh, yes. This Organic Act that was established after World War II, yeah. hmm the United States is obligated to support and defend the actual rights. And I just wanted you to understand that when you decided to issue a protection order where I wasn't a resident of Washington State and we were actual residents of Guam, yes, you actually violated the Organic Act, the Indian Bill of Rights, United States Constitution, numerous conventions, pooch. And your refusal to remove your fraudulent court orders is going to cause me to sue the United States for not enforcing the Organic Act. Now, I know that you think you're very, very powerful as a county, because you're in the family. Oh, but when the United States gets sued for not supporting and defending the individual constitutions of U.S. territories, yes, because I will sue them. Ouch. Um, what don't you understand about? I wasn't a resident. My wife made up a story. I agreed to go through diversion instead of the actual trial. Yes. And under the advice of my public defender, I did what I did so that I could get here, so that I could get my wife and kids. But instead, you had to be total fucking dickheads. So, just so the United States military knows, I want to know the actual territories. And then I want to know those trust compacts because I kind of like Micronesia. I applied for a job working there. Yes. And I thought we would move there as a family. Ooch, look at that. Now, well, as a county, you think you're fucking powerful. You're not. You should have never issued any protection orders where I was not able to be heard and given notice before you did it. Now, I'm sure my public defender, yes, thought it was a good idea that we should go through diversion. Yes. And I'm sure that when Squam gets that lawsuit where I actually did contact Healthy Families and you said it was a criminal violation of a protection order instead of a civil contempt of court violation of the restraint provisions. And then you did it again in 2015. Yes, a civil contempt of court violation of the restraint provisions. Ooch. Then you did it again in 2017. The United States is getting sued for not enforcing the obligations of the Guamanian Organic Act. So, for those, ooh, now I know Guam as a territory doesn't have a union. Did you know that? Ooch. I had spent some time with a guy that he worked with various corporations on Guam, and you know, we had this discussion about unions, and Guam is not a unionized United States territory. There are no unions on Guam. And I'll find out if they have unions on the other U.S. territories. And I thought I would do some manufacturing on Joint Region Marianas. Yes, yes, you did. Mm. They used to be quite the textile manufacturers. I was thinking of that word lingerie. Now, I'm going to want to know the actual location of all U.S. territories, yes, possessions, yes, and trust states. Because the United States military has not supported and defended the Constitution of the United States, the Indian Bill of Rights, or the Guamanian Organic Act. Choo, choo, choo. I email CID because of the refusal to acknowledge that you deprived me of life, liberty, and property when you issued that protection order, and I wasn't a resident and I could not appear in court and I did not get notice of the court hearings. And then you say that the probation officer that served me on Guam, could you get me all the Teamsters unions? Yeah. One of the largest labor unions in the United States of America. Yes. International Brotherhood of Teamsters. chauffeurs, warehousemen, helpers of America. Now we had a little union problem, didn't we? Yes. You know, I was looking at a picture of Maryland. In fact, I heard a sermon about tears. A lot of the tears that I experienced on Guam because I did a lot of weeping and somebody tried to say I was on drugs and that I was losing it. I heard a sermon at the Seventh-day Adventist Church that those that do experience emotional release known as tears, in fact, the guy gave this example of how the tear ducts, yes, are connected to a certain muscle in the actual in the face. Yes. And when you cry with joy, it puts a smile on you. But when you weep for a nation that doesn't enforce the actual laws of the United States, you notice I haven't cried a lot. Well, on Guam, I did a lot of praying. Pooch. It seemed like the Navy and the Air Force did know who I was. In fact, it seemed like the Guamanian National Guard did know who I was. In fact, it seemed that the United States Army did know who I was. I stopped by the National Guard office on Guam. Yes, I let him know that I had a friend that was in the Army. Mark Bonatti, he was stationed in Germany. Yes, I emailed him numerous times. Seemed like Peter Crowley was the number 2 guy back then. Chooch, and Ray Tenorio was the number 1 guy. Now, let's say you're in the Army, and not only did you lose a state, yes, quite possibly you use a law, you're going to lose a lot of land that the United States considers assets. But you're going to lose the United States territories and the compact trust states. It's as if the military doesn't give a fuck about anything. Now, the weeping that I experienced on Guam was a sadness. I I actually said that if there's one more false flag attack, yes, one more time, yes, that we have a war, you're going to void the Constitution and declare martial law. Ooch, ooch, ooch. Now, for those that are generals and admirals that like the idea of somebody from Homeland Security continuing government, yes, should have looked at it. I always thought that the military that didn't know what Homeland Security was doing when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, somebody had turned some shit on in the nation. Yes, something about static every morning and every night. That we'd virtualize everybody. Oh, which you know. Then we'd go the way of the dog. And for some reason, I thought, no, I really don't like that. It always, well, it derives from my want of making babies and the thought of loading my dick with somebody else's dick. I'd rather use my own penis when conceiving children. Yes.